leather versus Biothane leash. Now, Biothane is a brand name. It's not the actual material. The material itself has a bunch of different names. Biothane is a very common name for the synthetic material that we're referring to. So I'm gonna go over it real quick. If you work with dogs, I've worked with dogs, or any sort of animals, if you work with horses, you'll probably be very familiar with leather equipment. So leather leashes is a big one when it comes to dog training. This is something I've recommended for years. This is something that's been recommended to me since I started. The alternative, of course, when it comes to using a leash for your dog is your nylon crappy leashes that you see at the store, or you have a nice quality leather leash. Now, the thing with leather is when you first get it, it's very stiff. It doesn't feel good on your hands. But the more you use it, just like anything else that you break in, the more you use it, the more you handle it, the softer it gets. And that's one of the appeals of leather, is that it just gets nice and soft, and eventually it just almost feels like butter on your hands. The disadvantage of using leather is that it's leather. It's a natural material, so what happens is it'll deteriorate, it'll stretch out over time, which people like that. But if you don't take care of it, just like anything else, if you don't take care of it, it's going to eventually just crack. And I've seen leather leashes just snap right off because they've been stretched to their limits, or they haven't been properly taken care of. And then additionally, people have also stretched them to their limits. And I've seen several leather leashes snap, even nice thick leather leashes, after years of use, just snap right off. I've had that happen to me on the field when I'm doing protection work, and I've had handlers' leashes snap right off. That's kind of a disadvantage of leather. Now, another alternative that I'm starting to like more and more is Biothane. So Biothane, again, talking about Biothane to represent all this synthetic material. So this synthetic material, which again goes by a couple of different names, but we'll call it Biothane for the purpose of this video. So Biothane is more durable. So the way this works is it's got that very thick coating, but inside of it, it's got a nylon core to it. So it's very, very strong. This is the type of leash that you could leave out for a while, under the weather, forget about it for a long time, and then if you use it, all you have to do is just clean it right up, and it's hardly going to deteriorate. Obviously, if you leave it out for years and it's just under the sun, yes, that's going to affect its integrity, but compared to leather, Biothane is going to be much, much more durable. Okay, so that's what I really like about Biothane. And Biothane too, the leashes, they come in different textures. They come in different levels of stiffness. I've used synthetic leashes that are, a little bit more stiff, and I've used some like this that are very comparable to the feel that a leather leash has once it's been broken in. So Biothane is a really great alternative. I myself, I'm starting to like it more and more. Now, a little bit on a personal note, this has nothing to do with, with the comparison or anything, but getting away from using leather products, leather shoes. And so the one thing that I do use still is leather equipment. So I still have some leashes that are made of leather, which, I don't have a problem with. Still will occasionally use leather products when presented with the opportunity. But I just personally feel a little bit better having the option to use something that is not made out of another animal. So this is a great reason to switch to this, if that's your personal journey for you. If not, it doesn't matter. I know a lot of meat eaters that prefer Biothane over leather. Now, one disadvantage of Biothane is that this does not break in, so you get it as it is. That's one disadvantage. So it doesn't get softer by you continually using it. You don't really break it in. It's not going to stretch. It's just going to be the way it's going to be, which you could argue it's an advantage, but some people do like the feel of a broken in piece of equipment like leather. The other advantage of Biothane is that it's actually way cheaper. When you look up leather by the foot, and you also look up Biothane or this synthetic material of very similar characteristics to the leather strip that you're trying to get, by the foot per foot, this is a lot cheaper than leather. So you can manufacture more Biothane products for a lot less than you can leather products. So I find just so many advantages to using Biothane. Again, I'm still using leather. I have plenty of leather leashes. I'm not going to throw them out. I do still like the feel of the leather leash, but I like the reliability of the Biothane leashes. Like, this is not going to break. If you actually just were to cut it, or if you see the end of a Biothane leash, you'll see that the core is a very strong nylon webbing, and then it's covered with this synthetic material on top of it, which actually feels pretty good on your hands. This thing is not going to snap. It's not going to break. Whereas leather leashes, I've even seen thick leather leashes just snap right off. I've seen that, and obviously when you do protection work, it's something you don't want to see. So another piece of equipment that I find Biothane has an advantage over is agitation harnesses. So this agitation harness I've had for years, for several years. Like, I'm probably going on 7 years that I've had this agitation harness, and I've used it on my dog, I've used it on my wife's dog, I've used it on other club dogs, and this thing can go through a lot of wear and tear, a lot of pulling, and the weakest links, the weakest part of this harness, if anything, is going to be the stitching, which, if you got the stitching combined with riveting, this is a pretty solid piece of equipment. I've seen already a handful of leather harnesses that have snapped right off. I've seen that happen. I've heard of other people that have told me the same thing. So if I compare Biothane agitation harness to leather agitation harness, I just have a little bit more faith on the Biothane harness. Again, we're talking about the same thing. This thing is just not going to deteriorate. The material is just not going to deteriorate. You don't have to clean it. You don't have to maintain it. It requires very minimal maintenance, whereas leather, you have to keep it away from the elements. You have to maintain it. You have to oil it. And it'll still last you for a very long time. But at some point, just like anything, it's going to degrade. And Biothane, I feel, has just a longer shelf life than leather products. So this is just my personal opinion, and I just wanted to throw it out there as an option, because I know a lot of dog people, we think that just leather is the go-to and the almighty material for handling, but it really is. And Biothane is an amazing, an awesome alternative, and I encourage you to look into it.